welcome back to our live Thursday show, part 2, coming from Sheffield Live TV. If you missed part 1, it'll be on my YouTube channel later this evening, and so will part 2 as well. I don't know what's going to happen in part 2 yet, but we're talking about this book about the decade of 1990s football with author Richard Crooks and with Jamie Hoyland, who works for Everton in the Premier League. Is a talent scout, I think, for want of a better description. And he works in recruitment. Former Sheffield United midfielder in the Premier League, went on to play for Burnley and came to the Blades from Bury. But the week that you've just had, tell us where you've been this week in your current role with Everton.
Oh, I mean, the weeks can be funny. You can go all over. I mean, it started actually Burnley versus Hull on the Tuesday. And then I flew out to Germany on Friday, watched a game Friday night there, Bundesliga, watched another game on the Saturday night. I can't tell you where I was, you see, you have to be careful. And then I drove up into Hoyland on the Sunday to watch a game there and then fly home at the night. And then on Tuesday night this week, I were Bradford versus Blackburn. So back down to home.
I can assume from that you're not signing anybody from Bradford or Blackburn or the other.
You say that.
Or the Burnley.
There's always players.
You didn't mention the games abroad, but clearly you've been all over. And that's a typical week, is it, for you?
Yeah. And obviously watching games, minimum games we do a week is 7.
Yeah.
Either on video or try and get live as much as you can, which is good. So, yeah, it's a interesting job, very interesting. Yeah. And just hopefully we've got more right than wrong with this transfer window, and hopefully there's a few more to come. But yeah, we don't want another season like last season. Obviously, going to the more or less last match, which I've had a few of them at Sheffield United. They're not nice.
And one of them involved Everton beating Wimbledon.
They certainly did, Alan.
Yes.
That was in 1994. Yeah. That was we lost at Chelsea that day, which wow.
There was a cocktail of results.
Unbelievable.
I
think we were 13th at one stage, and then Blackburn had scored in every game that season at home. Drew 0-0 with Ipswich. Obviously, Everton were losing 2-0 to Wimbledon, won 3-2. And there were a couple more down there. We were winning. All we needed were a draw, and they scored at last kick. Yeah. But as you say, that's football, and
you couldn't have scripted it. And Dave Bassett the day before saw a few of us journalists, and there were about 5 of us there in his office. He was very relaxed, very, very confident. None of us could foresee a situation in which the Blades could go down. And he gave us all a bottle of champagne, which was typical of his generosity, to say thank you for your support this season, boys, as he called us, and have a drink with us tomorrow night, all being well, And I don't think I owned it for years because it just sat there.
Yeah.
I really felt for you. I felt gut wrenching. I know it wasn't for you, Richard, because. On that particular day, I think I covered a game at Hillsborough against Liverpool. Yeah. For 5 Live.
Certainly at Hillsborough, I was at the game, and the news came through that Mark Steen had scored.
Yeah, last minute.
And you couldn't contain the enjoyment that came through there. But in very similar vein, in 1989-90, when Wednesday went down, Bob Booker and others have said it was absolutely fantastic at Leicester. We won 5-2.
I was playing for Bury that day.
All right.
And we'd beat Cardiff 2-0, and I came off. And I went, how have Blades gone on? And they went, they've won 5-2, they're promoted. And I jumped for joy, and then somebody went, and by the way, Sheffield Wednesday have lost. I went, you what? I went, that's the best Sheffield double I've ever had in my life.
And I was at Hillsborough that
Sorry
day.
about that.
No, I think 93-4, I was exactly the other way.
That's a draw between you. Those 2 days, the fortunes, the fickle fates of football.
And absolutely.
Wednesday couldn't imagine going down that day.
No, absolutely not.
These bright yellow
teams.
No,
not Forest. Was it Forest? Who did Wednesday play?
Forest. We lost 3-0 to Forest.
And Luton came back at Derby.
That's right.
Yeah, 3-2 I think it was. Yeah. I was working for 5 Live, and all these scores were coming through, and I was delighted that I was about the only person in Hillsborough who was delighted that you'd gone up. And at that moment, you were playing for Bury. You couldn't possibly have imagined that that was so significant in your life because that was the team you were going to join.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any inkling that
No,
they were
not at all.
interested?
Not at all. I'd come to the end of my contract, and then there was no Bosman, so it was always a fee. It was always a fee, and I've said it before. I wrote to every club.
Yeah.
I didn't have an agent. Your wife was your agent, and I wrote to every club, handwritten letters to every. Man United, Liverpool, everybody, just for a reaction, and I got some lovely letters back. Alex Ferguson wrote me a lovely letter saying, yeah, I'm sure you'll get sorted, Jamie. I've come to Gig Lane many a night to watch and blah, blah, but at the moment you're not Man United, which I knew I wasn't, but it was just nice to get a letter. And then I got a few phone calls saying, will you come and have talks with us? And I nearly finished up going to Wolves.
Really?
They offered me unbelievable money.
More than the 800 that you took at
yeah, and it went on and on. But at the time, I met their manager at Great Bar, a hotel at Great Bar, and
Who was that? Mark McGee?
No, it was Graham Taylor.
Turner.
And Ron Dukes was the chief scout. I said, can I make one phone call? Because I thought, this is brilliant. Wow, the money was, and I got me 10p. Put it in the thing, obviously. Rung up at the bar and I rung Sam Ellis at Bury. I said, Sam, I think I might be signing for Wolves. He went, well, just before you do, he said, Dave Bassett's been on for you, wants you to go and talk to him. So I went, right, okay. So I went straight back in. I went, listen, I need to go home and think about it. I'm going on holiday tomorrow. And he went, yeah, no problem. Have as much time as you want. And I drove straight to Sheffield.
Yeah.
And went in to see Harry, give him some figures a little bit, and said, listen, no, I didn't give him figures. I just put a bit more on what they'd offered me, Wolves. Within 5 minutes, he came back from Dave Capper and said, yep, we'll sign you. We'll sign you on them.
Right.
And that rate, I went on holiday, and Wolves rung me all the time while I was on holiday, saying, we'll give you more, we'll give you more. I said, no, I'm signing for Sheffield United, whatever. Yeah. You can give me anything you want. I want to play for Sheffield United in top league.
And you did.
Yeah. And now I'm bankrupt, I haven't got any money. No, I'm not. But that is the 90s.
Yeah.
That was football. You played for where not your heart, because my heart was at Sheffield, but the love of the game. You wanted to play. So if you weren't playing in a team, say you weren't, Oldham were in the thing, weren't they? Forest and teams like that. Yeah. If you weren't in the first team at Forest, you'd go and play for somebody else because you wanted to play football. Because everybody really, other than the top guys, were on the same sort of money. Yeah. So it was like, just want to play football.
Yeah. And you reflect all these changes in the book. You've got quite a few sort of league tables of admission prices and
you're right, Alan. You're right. Admission prices and this astonishing looking back at it. And again, you go back to the 80s and attendance is falling, terracing, and everything else. I'm saying just in the end of part one, the all-seater stadia that Lord Taylor brought out with his recommendations, top two divisions, got to have those in. Do a comparison between 89-90 and 99-2000 on prices, top flight, and the comparison is the one with the biggest change is Tottenham Hotspur. It's gone up 4 times, so it's £7 to get in 89-90, £28 for a seat in 99-2000. At Wednesday, both at the North Stand and the Kop, it had gone up 3 times. Yeah. And it's just huge amount, and it's the Premier League that's driving that, and the revenues and the foreign players and everything else. And Tottenham and Wednesday weren't alone. Other teams were doing exactly the same thing. In fairness, over at Bramall Lane, the increase was there, but it wasn't as steep as at Hillsborough.
No. Current day. Let's come right to the present for a couple of minutes. We've got some great stories as well to sort of finish the show with. But Sheffield United as now top of the Championship. I know we're only 5 games in ahead of Luton this weekend on Friday night, but it's been a terrific start. What do you make of them? Yeah,
and to be honest, Alan, I think it should be the squad they've got. You know, that's a squad that's come down, had a year in the Championship, and more or less kept it together. You know, a few of them are getting a bit older now, which they've done well recruitment, brought a few in. So I think squad-wise, they've got a great chance of getting up this season, automatic, to be honest.
Yeah.
The feeling's still there, the buzz around the place, the atmosphere in the ground, the behind the manager, the behind the players, which is a good feeling. And so it owes well, really, that they should get promotion.
There was this big loss of continuity, wasn't there, when Chris Wilder left, and this jarring of, you know, a provenly good manager came in, but sometimes didn't work out. How good a job has Paul Heckingbottom done, almost to take it back to
well,
where
I think that's what he's done, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's a lot like Chris, but not as, you know, Chris was a blade, isn't he? He's, you know, wore his heart on his sleeve. I mean, I have a lot of time for Chris, and he's getting stick off fans now. And hang on a minute, Sheffield United probably be still in First Division, you know, because it's hard to get out of that without him. And you've got to remember that. Similar sort of thing at Burnley with Sean Dykes. They're Dyke, I'm glad we got. Hang on a minute, he's give you like 7 years or 8 years of Premier League football. So I think Heckie's come in, Paul Heckingbottom's come in, and he's just done it under the radar really. He's not a gregarious one. But actually, he's gone, let's strip it right down to where we were, what the fans like, how we like, how the players know what we like, because a lot of them are still, and let's go and play. Yeah. And you do it that way, and you get, like I say, you get the 12th man off the crowd. And
he's very demanding. It's like you say, they should be looking to go up with that squad, and you think that they will automatically.
Yeah.
And he's not letting up on that, because I think every interview I've seen and ones I've done with him, he's not satisfied. He's never completely satisfied.
No,
he's looking for more.
Well, you've got to do, and I think that's a good manager, that you're always striving. And even if you are really, really happy, you come out and say that players are thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I thought we were brilliant here. We beat Blackburn 4-0. Right, but better be on my toes, because if I'm not, somebody else is going to come in.
That was one of the best performances I've ever seen from a Sheffield United team, relatively.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Were you not there when we beat Tottenham 6-0?
I was there.
Right. Thanks, Al.
I was there. I said one of the best.
Thanks, Al.
But I'll tell you about I was there. Did you score that night? I can't remember.
I didn't score. Franny did.
Franz Carr scored. But I'll tell you something about that, though. That 6-0 against Spurs was great. But I think it was either a few weeks before that or a few weeks after that, I saw Spurs lose 7-0 at Middlesbrough, right? It was the same season, and one of the worst Spurs teams.
Yeah, but we softened them up. That's why.
No, it was good. But honestly, I thought they were terrific, and I don't very often get excited.
Yeah.
Now, well, I do, but we all get excited. I mentioned these stories. In your book, you reminded me. And I shouldn't have had to remind me, because I was part of it. The car park with Dave Bassett. Jamie. I've also got down that Bramall Lane's got a well. We'll come to that in a minute. But this was. What was the early 90s?
Yes. As I recollect it, Alan, that you were in the centre of this. You, from what I read, criticising the national newspaper, the board, Reg Brealey, and you'd gone again and criticised, and if I get it wrong, you'll tell me, the club had said, Brealey had said, sorry, you're banned. You're banned from the club.
He didn't say, Brealey didn't communicate it to me. I was in the car park. It was a nice sunny day, and a few of us journalists were congregated outside the reception in the car park, and ready to go in to see Dave Bassett. Dave comes out of the social club, so he had his lunch, and he makes a beeline for me, and he says, "I think you'll find your band, son." He said to me. So I said, "Really?" He said, "Oh yeah." He says, "They voted to ban you from the ground." So he says, "I'll tell you what." He says, "We'll do this press conference out here in the car park." He said.
That's what he said. Well done, Aaron.
Brilliant.
Which was a magnificent gesture, and I've never forgotten it. And,
brilliant.
And typical of the man. So that's what we did. So I'm glad it made a good story.
A very good story.
And I learned something from that as well, because I learned that, and Derek Dooley said to me at the time, he says, "If you live by the sword, son," he says, "you'll die by it." And from that point on, if I've got a criticism to make, I'll make it once, strongly, and then you don't keep doing it over and over again. Yeah. Tell us about your Chris Waddle story. This is good. This is better than that.
Well, it's I was lucky enough to go to a match end of last season. I think it was the was it a Europa Cup semi-final, Feyenoord, Marseille versus Feyenoord. If anybody knows about Marseille Feyenoord, they are the most volatile fans in Europe. Oh wow, unbelievable. So I've driven 3.5 hours to get 20 miles to the ground. That's how crazy it was. Eventually got into the ground just after kick-off because there'd been riot police everywhere, there'd been fighting, there'd been flares, and you sat there thinking, oh gosh, what's going on here? Eventually got in the ground, and at Marseille, brilliant stadium. It's the arena which, actually it's the one where the England fans got chased with Russia in the World Cup, that one there. It's got that feeling about it once you get in. If you know, as a football fan like you will, Richard, I'm sure it's got that feeling where you think, oh, anything could go off in here. So I've got in, and at Marseille they put you about 8 rows from the front. Can't see my seat anywhere because everybody is stood up in the gangways, down the where you should be sat down. Everybody stood, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to eventually gets to my seat. And this is now about 9:10, game's going on. The atmosphere, the Feyenoord fans are over there, and I'm here. So as a scout, get my notebook out, start writing, and I can feel eyes on me, thinking, oh dear me. And I've just looked, and they've gone, what are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you here? I said, I'm a scout. Yeah, but why? The match, fans, all that. And I'm thinking, oh no. And just, this is no word of a lie, out of the corner of the eye, I see this flag. And I think, oh, yes, yeah. And quick thinking, I've turned to them and went, Chris Waddle. And they're going, yes. I went, I know Chris Waddle. I said, I've played against Chris Waddle. He was my manager at Burnley. You know Chris Waddle? And I went, yes, I know Chris Waddle. And the row just went like that. He knows God. He knows the God. He knows it. And suddenly, I've got thousands of Marseille fans who are my friends. So before the end of the game, I'm looking to go with 5 minutes to go, like to get out of this stadium for my life. And they're all trying to push me back. No, you know Waddle. Bring him next time. I'm thinking. So anyhow, thank you very much, Chris Waddle. You saved me that night in Marseille.
Well, I can tell you where he lives if you want.
Oh no, he lives, Chris. Yeah, I know he lives.
So you mentioned something there which I'd partially almost forgotten. He was manager of Burnley. He was manager briefly, wasn't he?
Oh yes, very briefly.
Yeah, what was that like? Tell us, because it was the end of your career.
I had a year with Chris, and listen, he'll put his hand up and say, at least he knew after that year he weren't cut out for management. I mean, what a player. He came, and you know, he'd obviously played at Marseille, played at Wednesday in a really good side, played at Tottenham, and he's come to Burnley.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget one of his sessions he tried to do. We got this lad called Mark Winstanley. Now, Mark Winstanley was called Whoosh, because every time he kicked the ball, it went whoosh, right into the crowd. Didn't like football, whatever beef, didn't like football. So Chris had said to him, right, we're going to do this session where, when I played with Papan at Marseille, Papan used to go point that way, but he'd want the ball that way. So anyhow, half an hour later, he's still trying to do that, because whooshing this ball. And in the end, Waddle just went, no, I'll leave it. And we stayed up. In fact, talking about skin of your teeth, we stayed up that season. We beat Plymouth at home last match of the season. Andy Cook scored 2 goals to keep us in the league, and then Chris finished.
I saw a couple of Burnley games at that, and the football that you tried to play was very expansive. You had a great winger called Glenn Little.
Yeah, Glenn,
He was good. And on the other
left him out. He didn't play him for months.
Really?
Because Glenn Roeder said he's not fit to lace Chris's boots, who was playing still, trying to play.
Yeah.
He played centre forward, sweeper, everywhere, Chris, and then they brought Glenn back in.
He was good at that.
Glenn was brilliant, yeah.
And there was a winger on the other side as well. I forget who it was. But I thought he
could have been
Paul
David.
Weller,
Wells, he's a very good friend.
One.
Yeah, mine. Yeah.
So, you know, it didn't work out for him as a manager. But
No.
He's still a brilliant pundit and knows what he's...
I think he's an excellent pundit, actually, Chris. I think he just says it and don't say it for controversy, actually picks the game and says the right thing.
Tell us who your all-time favourite Sheffield Wednesday players are.
Well, as a boyhood hero, Jim McCalliog.
Yeah.
Jim McCalliog was mine, kind of saves the era, and I met him a couple of times afterwards, and he's a very unassuming, lovely guy. Really lovely guy. If more recently, it would be that 90s team. It would Waddle, Sheridan, Roland Nielsen, and just real quality players. And obviously Waddle's goals, sorry Jamie, but the FA Cup semi-final, just
well, I think
minute.
Alan Kelly watches it, and every time he watches it, he says, I couldn't do anything about it.
No, I don't think he could.
No, he couldn't. It was a fantastic goal.
Yeah.
But I forgot about John Sheridan. Wow, what a player he was.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about now, then? I mean, it's good for the Blades, and it's looking promising for Wednesday.
But I think you've said it in your columns, Alan, and I agree with you. With the squad they've got, they really ought to be there for automatic. I saw the defeat at Peterborough, and that's the only defeat they've had so far, and that was down to the sending off. And you got 10 men early in the game. You're then on the back foot anyway. I think apart from that, and they bounce back one following game, I'm confident they can do it. The thing I wouldn't want to see is Fitz go. I think he's a brilliant player. He's not, at the moment, is he going to get in the team? Is he not going to get in the team? I think central midfield, holding the ball, taking it on, he's very, very strong. You don't knock him off the ball easily.
No, he's got the pace and power.
Yeah, and I think in that division, absolutely. He's the guy to take Wednesday forward.
And they've yet to tie him down on a new contract. Any views on the Owls? They've signed players of repute, haven't they, that everybody's heard of, who've played higher in many cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is right. I'm trying to think. I was trying to watch some stuff with them the other. Oh, I'll tell you what, it was Martin Hodge. We were talking about Wednesday, and he said with the squad they've got exactly what you said. They should actually be getting out of there, because it's one of those things as well. If you don't, you're in there and you're in there, and the expectation grows, and you know, well, Sunderland had it, didn't they? Sheffield United had it.
4 years it took
to get out. You know, listen, I'm red and white blood, you know that, but I think when we go back to the 1990s, when Wednesday United were in the Premier League, I think it's hard for supporters of both teams to say what fantastic times they were. I know we were down there, but the city itself buzzed. It was like a real football thing all the time, and it was brilliant.
It can happen again, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, but obviously the Premier League's changed in every. You know, when we were there, Wednesday had a chance of being in Europe and of being a top team, and you know, we always knew we were going to be fighting because of our budget and who we could attract. But now I think it's changed where, you know, you probably get both of them in there, and it's a struggle. And Wednesday have still got to get out of that. United have still got to get out of that. But it will do eventually. It will do.
It's interesting, Alan. They mentioned about the monies, and Jamie, you've said it as well. The accountants are in there. Deloitte Touche were reporting in 97-8. End of that season, both Wednesday and United were the two clubs with the biggest losses in the combined leagues, and they came out with the suggestion that actually the only way you're going to get the football club in Sheffield back in the Premier League is to merge. Now that went down like a hole in the head.
I remember that.
And funnily enough, Dave Bassett was quite receptive to that idea, and so was David Pleaks. I did a piece for the Sunday Express on it, but it completely got snowballed. But both of them not actually from the city.
It never work, ever.
Anybody, you speak to anybody actually from the city, and I was born in Bromley in Kent, so I can't look at it like you guys do.
There's no chance.
No chance, right. Never ever. Never ever.
No.
I'm very, very glad that we had, what a fantastic hour or so we've had, and it flew by, which is always a sign of a great show. Richard Crooks and Jamie Hoyland, thanks so much. We might have a pint on the strength of it. Thank you for watching. See you again next week. Bye-bye.